Good morning, everyone, and a warm word of welcome to our webinar today. It's 17 minutes, and let's get going before the time catches us. Hello, Kimmy and everybody. A warm word of welcome to you from a warm Cape Town, as Adele has mentioned, and also Annalisa. Okay, here we go. So this whole thing about self-discipline. I had a little look about, what is this thing that we call self-discipline, and why do we struggle with it so much? And I asked you when you registered for today's webinar, what is your biggest issue and challenge about self-discipline? And well, you can see for yourself there. The P word, procrastination, which comes from two Latin words, by the way, pro and crus, which means for tomorrow. Procrastination almost shows up twice. Consistency requires distraction, and then self-discipline. That was the interesting one for me, that self-discipline itself is a challenge in terms of getting self-discipline. Hello, Lasego, warm word of welcome. Okay, so let's see how we can tackle this. What is this thing called discipline? Now, I like looking at the origin of words or the meaning of words, so just bear with me for a minute. But clarity of terms, I think, is really, really, really important. So discipline comes, and disciple have the same root word in Latin, which means a pupil or a learner. It's got nothing to do with you have to do this and you have to do that. Discipline is a learner and a pupil. A learner and a disciple, if a little bit deeper, a follower or a student of a particular teacher or philosophy. Let's focus on philosophy. So you're a follower, and you're committed to learning from and following the teachings of their chosen leader. Now, if that is a learner or a disciple, what on earth is self-discipline then? And I'd like you to type in the chat. Let's just check the keyboards as well. If discipline is leading your follower, what does self-discipline mean? Who must you follow if you exercise self-discipline? Just type one word in the chat, and I'll give you a hint. It begins with S. So who do you follow if you apply self-discipline? Yourself. So if you don't know where on earth you're going to with your life, how can you follow yourself? And that's often where we struggle with self-discipline. We don't know where we're headed. And if we don't know where we're headed, how on earth can we take the next step? And then we procrastinate and things won't be perfect, and then we don't do anything. I like Alan Weiss's quote that life is about success, not perfection. So that's something else. But let's get back to the beginning. So what is self-discipline then? I like this quote or definition. Self-discipline is the ability we have to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Elbert Hubbard. By the way, at the end, I will open up the handout section for you. And if you want to download the presentation, you're more than welcome to do that. So that will be available at the end. So I'd like you to make lots of notes. And I'm going to give you 3 things to do that will help you make self-discipline work for you. And at the end, I'd like you to share with us just one thing that you're going to do. So this is self-discipline. Adele, what do you mean therein lies the problem, whether you feel like it or not? Now, often people say, well, yeah, I don't feel like doing this job. Here's a question. Do you know what you want with your life? Do you know where you're headed? Why are you in the job that you don't enjoy? Yeah, I know it's difficult to get a job and all of that, those kind of stuff. That is true. But I challenge you to challenge yourself. If you're not happy in what you're doing, then you will procrastinate and things won't work out well. Okay, so do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. So how can we make it work for ourselves? 3 things, and please write these down. But before we get there, not the most important, but the really, really important one is to do a pre-mortem. Just type PM in the chat, please, if you have done somewhere in your life a pre-mortem about a project. Now, all that means is before you even start the project, and my encouragement to you would be to start a self-discipline project after today, is you have a pre-mortem before you even start the project, and you ask, hey, this project has been a spectacular failure. What went wrong? Why did this fail? So Nosipo has done a pre-mortem. That's good. Ask yourself these questions. What went wrong? Why did I fail to achieve my goals? Then you brainstorm a list of potential causes. Okay, I failed because I procrastinate. So why do I procrastinate? Think about that. and then develop a strategy for overcoming your cause. So if you identify that procrastination is caused by perfectionism, how can I overcome perfectionism? And then you incorporate the strategy into your plan. Now, I know this sounds very glib and easy and all of that, but just type the word doable or do, make it short, in the chat. If you think that things that I mentioned to you now, identify before you start anything, why did it fail? Find a cause. How can you cure the cause and incorporate it into your plan? If you think that's doable, just type the word do in the chat, please. So I see Rosie and Nozipo and Johan, I think it's doable. Cecilia, do. Yeah. It's not easy always, but it's doable. And that's the thing. Remember, life is about success, not perfection. Okay. So let's see how we can make it work for ourselves. Number one is, the famous why is, what is the motivation? Why do you want to achieve your goals? What's in it for you? So the first thing is why. And then secondly, to develop positive habits. So you can just write the words, bullet points, maybe have a why, habits. And the third one is to overcome resistance. And guess what? Procrastination. So we will have a look at those things now. So in terms of why do you want to achieve your goals? And I'm very curious to know, just type, what word can I choose? Like the short word. Let's say MIS, which is short for mission. Do you have a mission for your life? Do you have a personal mission statement? Do you have personal values? Just type MIS in the chat. And if you don't have it, you can type no MIS. So Nosipo has a personal mission statement. And Nosipo, can I ask you to develop your personal mission statement? And also Johan, just type in the chat, was it easy or difficult to do it? And this is not the right or wrong. I'm just curious whether you found it very easy to do or whether it was kind of difficult to do. And if it's been worthwhile to do. Difficult, easy. Is it worthwhile? For those of you who do have a personal mission statement and values, is it worthwhile doing it? Just type worth in the chat if you find that having this pointer for you, because that's all that it is. It points you north. If it's worthwhile or not, just type worth in the chat to share with us if you find it worthwhile. So it's worthwhile. It was difficult to do for some people, not easy and worthwhile. Fantastic, great stuff. Love it. So do that. Point number one, we're talking about self-discipline today. And as I said, self-discipline is about following yourself, but you must know where you're headed. And your mission statement gives you direction. So if you don't have a mission statement, where are you headed? Okay, here we go. A couple of things that you can do to help you understand why you want to do things. Identify your governing values. Governing values is different than values. Governing values value your behavior. Now, my three top personal values are independence, freedom, and making a contribution, a positive contribution where I choose to. And those values have helped me to say no to certain business opportunities. Because in a business opportunity, it violated my independence and it violated my freedom. I just couldn't do it. So, many of you also, and thank you so much for the feedback that you gave me, said saying no. But if you don't know what your values are, how can you say yes or no? So it's really, really important to have your values sorted out. Then secondly, what are your goals in life? And are they aligned with your values? Otherwise, your goals are taking you here and your values think, hey, but you should be going there. It won't work. So reflect on your goals. And again, this will be available for you as a handout afterwards, just to guide you through this process. Visualize your success. How does it feel? What does it look like? And then take action. And try me. Now, what does the try me mean? In Kirstenbosch, my favorite place to visit over a weekend, in the shop there, they have these like testers that you press a little thing and smell, and then you buy it or not. Now, you tell me, just type in the chat, please. The one of them is labeled tester, and the other one is called try me. Which one will you choose to push the button and pull the trigger? Tester or try me? Just type test or try in the chat. I like the try me. Yeah, Fernanda, I agree with you. Try me. And sometimes I think we spend too much time in philosophy and sitting on top of the mountain in the proverbial cloud of mist or fog, and we think about our mission statement when we come back from the mountain and we still don't know what to do. Just try stuff and you'll see what you like and what you don't like. If you don't try it, you won't know. So I suggest try it and then celebrate your small victories. So there are 5 things that you can do to help you understand why you want to achieve your goals. What is your purpose and your motivation? What are your values? Reflect on your goals. Are they aligned? Visualize success. Take action. Try stuff. And celebrate your small victories. Now, I'd like you to, or we'll come to that later on. Okay, are you happy with so far? What is one thing from our discussion so far about this that is taking away? Just type one word in the chat that you are taking away so far that that you can go and do something with. Thank you, Shamida, for the thumbs up. You can just give me a thumbs up as well. I know that we're on track to helping you make self-discipline work for you. Rosie, mission. Right, yeah, mission is so important. You know, I think it comes from the Latin word mitre, which means to be sent or to send. So why are we sent? Why? And we send ourselves. Take action, Osipo, and celebrate. Yeah, Johan, celebrate is so important. So we're going to do some celebration just now, and it's not difficult, these things. And how much everything that you've written down there: mission, take action, celebrate, mission. How much does it cost you? Nothing. Just a little bit of time and effort. And you know, if we are not prepared to put time and effort into something, don't expect anything to change. Shamida, alignment of values, that's really important, also for free. Okay, let's move on. The second thing is habit. So the first one is your purpose, your motivation, why. And we're talking about how you can make self-discipline work for you. How can you help yourself to follow yourself to a meaningful place? Okay, so develop positive and appropriate habits. I'd like to introduce a word that I came across recently, which is identity habits. I think I came across it from a good friend, Kevin Horsley, the first time, but it's also, I think, the theme in the book, Atomic Habits. I have the book, I haven't read it yet. Did you like Atomic Habits? Just type the word atom in the chat if you would recommend reading the Atomic Habits. But this is what it's about, identity habits. Now, that was a strange, a term to me, but until I think I understand it now, what are identity habits? These are behaviors or actions linked to your sense of identity. Now, at the time, I wanted to lose some weight. I still want to do. Thank you, Gerrit, and all of those you said, Anthem, Chico, great stuff. Thank you. I think I must read that book the weekend. I wanted to do some weight, and I wanted to reach, let's say, 89 kilograms. So my identity then became 89 Gerrit. And the question then is, if that is what I want to become, ask yourself these questions. What would 89 Gerrit do here? Would 89 Gerrit eat the chocolate or not? So here's some examples of identity habits. They provide a sense of purpose and motivation. And for me, that's the important word, beyond just achieving a specific outcome. Because this is what you want to be. This is your identity, your productivity identity, your self-disciplined identity. And I'm going to ask you, after you had a look at these examples, just to put one word in the chat that you would put in front of your first name. For example, in terms of self-discipline, productive Paul, that's the identity. Well, what is your identity? You don't have to type your last name or your first name. You can just type the first word here, like committed Tsepiso, disciplined Dave, reliable Bujani, diligent Dumani, determined Dylan, motivated Mpo, and zooming Zoe. So what is your word? Tenacity, yeah, authentic Rosie, lovely, authentic, consistent. Consistent is another word that came up all the time, consistent Nicolene. Now, if you have this identity habit, would you agree that it becomes easier for us to, or rather, if you have the identity, it would be easier to align our habits with the identity. Disciplined and consistent, Susan, reliable, great stuff. Thank you for sharing. So how to develop a habit? I suggest you start with small habits. BJ Fogg calls it tiny habits. And reliable, Shamsi, great stuff. Thank you. And how to develop a tiny habit is as follows. You take something that you already do. For example, in my case, I switch on the coffee machine. So that's my trigger. When I switch on the coffee machine, then I do 20 floor touches. I just call them floor touches. It's not squats. I'm not fit enough to do proper squats, but I touch the floor 20 times. So when I switch on the coffee machine, then I touch the floor 20 times. What are some of your triggers that could trigger you? Something that you're already doing that could, for example, stop procrastinating. When I, then I. I would like to see what you could use in your everyday life as triggers, something that you already do. Proactive chemi, great stuff, chemi. Meticulous cheeky. Okay, habit stacking, good practice as well. Yeah, great. Okay, so another thing about habits is to make it a daily practice. Or in the case of tiny habits, whenever you do something, then do the new thing that you want to do. When you go into the shower or into the bath, do one push up. That's an example of a small and a tiny habit. Forget 21 days. Just type the number 21 in the chat. If you have heard this thing, this myth, that it takes just 21 days to form a new habit. You get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. After 21 days, you will, as if by magic, rise at 5 o'clock. By the way, that's not true. Sorry to break your magic there, but the 21-day to form a myth is habit is a myth. There's been a study, Lally, and he or Lally has found that it took anywhere from 18 days to 254 days for people to form a new habit. Now, that may you see 21 lies somewhere in there, but why does it take so long? It depends on what you want to do. If you want to change the habit from opening the door with your right hand to opening the door with your left hand, that maybe happen within a day or two or three. But this thing about self-discipline, I can't guarantee this, but I think developing the habit of self-discipline could take longer than 21 days because it's a difficult thing. To stop procrastinating, don't expect that after 21 days you no more procrastination. No, I think there's more work to be done. So forget about the magical days. But another thing you can do to help you develop your habits is to track your progress. Now, with self-discipline, it's very difficult. It's a subjective thing. Hey, motivation is a subjective thing. But what can we do to help us? A habit tracker. Now, I'm not saying that you must go to the extreme and have Excel spreadsheets and all of that kind of stuff. But every time you did something, just make a note somewhere. Self-assessment surveys. There are many of these things around. Assess yourself, and after a while, do it again and see if you've improved. Goal-setting frameworks. There are so many of them. But you can use them. So track your progress. So in somebody to create habits. So the first one, what was the first one? Why? The second one, habits. Start small, do it daily, and keep track. Okay, the last one that I'd like to share with you, how we can make self-discipline work for us. Now, a couple of you mentioned ADHD and ADD. Those are challenges. And I accept that they are challenges, and I acknowledge that they are challenges. But once you know that you have that situation or that, I don't know what really to call it, condition, then what can you do? And I'm sure there's many people that can give you advice about that. So, a couple of things to overcome resistance and procrastination. And you know this, you've read it in many places already. Break it down into small steps. If you want to run the Comrades next year, you can't run a practice Comrades tomorrow if you haven't run 1 kilometer for the last year. But you can do maybe 100 meters. You can at least walk to your gate and break it down into small steps. So don't try and change the world overnight. Don't try and change yourself overnight. Don't hype yourself up and jump off cliffs and that kind of stuff to become self-motivated. No, or self-disciplined. It won't happen. I think it's fair to say, just type agree in the chat if you agree with me that coming from a situation of low self-discipline to being a really self-disciplined person, it won't happen overnight. You have to put time and effort into it once again. If you're not willing to put time and effort in, then nothing is going to happen. So Adele agrees, Nick and Nosipo agrees, Susan agrees, Cecilia agrees. Yeah, and again, it's not difficult to do these things. Get an accountability partner. I want to challenge you with this self-discipline. And again, I'll make the handout available to you just now. Thank you, Sanita and Chiki and James, Gerrit. Get an accountability partner. Write down the name of somebody that you are going to ask to help you implement or not implement to become more self-disciplined. Somebody that you can chat to once a day or once a week. Right? You don't have to put it in the chat. Just on a piece of paper somewhere, write down the name of somebody that you feel you can approach to be your accountability partner. Okay, there's a Deirdre. That's great. Okay. So get an accountability partner. Okay, good. Then here's the thing I wanted to do just now. I think when we talked about, congratulate yourself, and that may feel funny, but right now, where you're sitting or where you're standing, raise your left arm or your right arm and pat yourself on the back. And the pat on the back is simply for being here today. I think this is a good example of self-discipline, because you decided that I wanted to attend this webinar, which is about self-discipline. So that's where you led yourself and you followed yourself. So good show for today. And again, just to summarize, the three things that we had so far is be clear why. If you don't have that clear why, it's very difficult. You can force yourself to do stuff. That's not lekker. And then the other thing is form an identity-based habit, and then overcome resistance and procrastination. And this is how you do it. Small steps, get an accountability partner, and reward yourself. So that's the summary that I have for you over there. So what next? How can you make self-discipline work for you? Now, what we've done, we're busy creating something that I just call the productive outlook community. And I hope you like the wordplay as much as I do. I'm putting something on your screen at the moment, just a quick poll, if you would like me to keep you in the loop about this thing, which I call the productive outlook community. Yes, Outlook for Outlook, Microsoft Outlook. Productive Outlook is just nothing to do with Outlook. It's to help you create or just develop a new and a more productive outlook on life. And would you agree? You don't have to type anything, but being a more self-disciplined person can change your outlook on life and can give you a more productive outlook on life. So thanks for the yeses and the nos. Well, that's fine. That's perfect. And let me know if you would like me to just keep you in the loop about what's happening in the productive outlook community, because there we have somebody from Ireland and Belgium and nothing from the UK yet, but people all over South Africa, and we meet there, and you can support each other there. Okay, so you can let me know, then I'll stay in touch with you. Okay, so I think that's about it for today. I want to thank you so much for being here. There's my contact details if you'd like to write to me. Gerrit at 789, Y789. It's easier than Gerrit at productivitypitstop.co.za. On the phone, that takes about 10 minutes to get that across. A 789 works every time. And if you would like me to stay in touch with you about the POC or the Productive Outlook Community, you can also just send me an email to that address and put POC EOM in the subject. What does EOM stand for? End of message. So I would thank you for the thank yous. I would like you to just put one thing in the chat that you feel right now committed to go and do. What are you going to do to take something that you got here today to put it into action? Just thank you, Irma. Carol, thank you for the thank yous. What are you going to do? The one thing is action. So yes, Adele. By the way, the recording of these webinars, I do post them in the Productive Outlook community. All the recordings, there are almost 60 of them at the moment. They all live in the community, and you can get it there. And personal mission statement, fantastic. Give me a moment, and I know we're on time. I just want to give you something that you can use immediately, and if you want to do that. And this would be MS Builder. There you go. I'm just copying the web address for you, and I'm putting it in the chat. For those of you who want to have something to work with, you can go to that website that I've just put in the chat. It doesn't cost anything, and you can have a look there. It will help you create a mission statement for you personally, for your family, and it's for your team as well. So have a look at that website. It's really, really useful. So just having a look at what you're going to do. Chanel, determine my values. That's really, really, really important. Stop procrastinating, Santa. That's and I'm going to put another link in the chat. I hope I get it quickly. Here we go. For those of you who want to stop anything, watch this video. It's a 6-minute video, more or less. Bob Newhart, some of you may not have the ages, the years behind you like I have, but have a look at that video there. You can download, you can just copy and paste it. Okay, so a little bit over our time, but at the end, just a few things there. Okay, so there's something for the mission statement builder, and there's something just for a bit of fun. Okay, for those of you who are still here, give me some feedback, please. 1 or 2 or 3 in the chat. 1, today's little conversation had no value for you. You should not even have been here. You wasted your time. And number 2, yes, it was valuable. But number 3, yeah, I'm very happy that I was here. Good value for me. So in the chat, 1 or 2 or 3, please. So it just gives me an idea of whether I am on track with these short little webinars that I'm doing. Thank you so much, everyone. And lekker, Eleanor. Yeah, and good seeing you again, Eleanor. Adele, yeah, good value, want more. Well, you can get more in the club, in the community. But yeah, I'll see for everybody who asked that something, I'll stay in touch with you. Good, thank you for the feedback. I really, really appreciate that. I'm going to stop the recording. Those of you watching the recording, thank you for taking the time to do that. And oh, the handout. I can, you can download if you click on handouts. My apologies for waiting so long for that. You can click on the handout tab at the top, and the self-discipline PDF, everything that I shared with you today will be available there. So I'm not going to end the webinar right now. I want to give you time to get the handout. So you can, I'm sharing the handout at the moment. You can just go and get it there. Great. Thank you so much for the feedback. Thank you, Lesego. Siyabonga. There you go.